Hi, welcome to Nothing Venture, Nothing Game. The host with the most, GM Jared. And today I'm joined by Steve. Say hi, Steve.
Yep.
And today on our channel, we are going to be doing a lovely review of Unlocking Insanity, brought to you by Petersen Games. Now, for complete transparency, Petersen Games did send us this game, and we love them for it. We got to play it. Me and Steve got to play it together. And I wound up getting a 4 as my total score. And we will go into that and how I wound up getting a 4 on this episode. Thanks for sticking around. And like I said, we're talking about Unlocking Insanity. For the most part, this is a very easy game to get into, very quick to learn, and very, very fast to play. I had a lot of fun. Steve, how did you feel about the game?
Yeah, the game is very interesting. It's a nice, fun middleweight game.
Yes. So I'm here to just talk about it as like a layperson, and Steve is here to talk about it as a hardcore gamer. So I guess I'll ask you, Steve, your thoughts in general about the game. What did you think about it, like as a whole?
The game's theme obviously is Cthulhu based, but it doesn't have a lot of the dark imagery that is usually associated with that genre, which makes it easy for a younger audience to get into it without having to worry about some of the intense images that tend to come from playing a game that is Cthulhu themed. It is a roll and write style game, meaning there's some dice rolled and you have to pick a value and you have to put it on your board in some way. And the whole point is try to get as many points as possible, just like every proper cultist.
Yes. And from the layperson's perspective, the rules book is like this many pages, and by this, I'm holding up the number 7, and that's insane. And I guess that's the first part of unlocking the insanity. When I sit down with Steve, and Steve's like, "Hey, I got this game, let's play." Usually, the rule book kind of looks like Gone with the Wind. It's just like a big old tome. So he was like, "Hey, let's sit down and play." And I was like, "All right, sure, let's sit down and play. Hopefully, you know the rules." He was like, "I haven't read the rules yet." I was like, "All right, I got like 2 hours, Steve." And Steve was like, "No, look," and he showed me the rules. It was a very small rule book, so that is a positive for me. It's a very small rule book, very easy and accessible for the layperson like myself, who isn't a hardcore gamer. Um, you know, besides that, the imagery, like Steve was talking about, and we'll have an image pop up somewhere on the screen. It's really cool. So your board, right? So your board is a brain, the actual medical image of a brain. And each section of the brain is broken up into a color. And those colors dictate certain dice. So, and besides the color, which I thought was really cool, because I am like my blues and purples kind of get jumbled up when I see them. There are symbols, right? So your blue section has a specific symbol, and your purple section has a specific symbol. So when you're looking at the board, you can tell which section it should be in, which I thought was really cool. Because for me, like blues and purples and greens sometimes get jumbled all together. Besides that, I think it took us a half an hour, maybe 40 minutes the first time we played, because we were still learning the rules and trying to figure everything out. And then the second time we played, it took us like 15 minutes, I think. And we were just kind of shooting just hanging out and, talking and having a beer. And that's kind of the style of the game I think this kind of falls into, is very like, hey, let's hang out, as friends, have a refreshment, and kind of play a game and all laugh with each other and enjoy each other's company. And that's kind of the way I see this game. So yeah, so it calls for about the age group of 10 plus, meaning you're 10 plus. I think littler children could play, maybe like 8, depending, So it's great for a family board game. And we were lucky enough, like I said, Petersen Games sent us this review copy. and they also sent us, which I think is a great buy, dry erase um, boards that were the symbol of the brain, and you used a wet erase marker to clean off the board because you put numbers in different spots. With the normal game, it's a piece of paper that you get, and it's like a whole pamphlet. It's a lot. It's not like one or two. It, having the dry erase board made way more sense, and we were lucky enough to get it from them. And if we had it, I would suggest getting it. Like if you're gonna pick this up, pick that up with this game. This is a cool game that, like, let's say you're burnt out from playing uh, Monopoly. Someone's flipped the table, and thrown the horse, the car across the room, and was like, I'm done with this game. You could play this game, and it'll change the entire evening. You'll have fun, you'll laugh, and you'll just kind of joke with each other. I think it's just a great game for everyone to play and sit down with. Uh, Besides that, yeah, you can get a 4, Steve.
Yeah. So this game has a couple of interesting mechanics. One of the mechanics I really like about this game is that even on other players' turns, what they roll affects you positively and negatively. So regardless of, because I know that there are some games that maybe their turns are a little longer, or maybe you've done all the stuff on your turn, and some players want to see what the other players do, and other players would like to, it's like, look, I have my turn, and they don't necessarily engage during the off turns. This game, it's almost every turn you have to be engaged with the game, because what Jared rolls, I have to be aware of and put on my board. And maybe he's gone insane, which is a mechanic in the game, which we'll get to. He goes insane, or I go insane, and then maybe another player has to pick something for me. So every turn you're always engaged in what the other players are doing, how close they are to winning or triggering the end of the game, and it's just a fun game. There's enough strategy that a person who likes strategy can get in and enjoy, but it's just fun rolling dice and throwing numbers haphazardly on your board.
That's exactly what I did, and I wound up getting a 4. So like Steve said, a lot of it's figuring out where numbers belong, and if you have too many negatives, you get a 4. I didn't know that was a possibility, but I did it. I win. I got the sad number. Steve didn't believe me, by the way. I want to point this out. Steve didn't believe me, and then rechecked my math and was like, nope, you got a 4. And I was like, cool, I'm going to eat some pizza.
I honestly thought maybe it was some,
like, I missed something, like
math, or maybe it was another number. Because in the beginning, I will say that the one critique I would have with the game is in the rule book, and the rule book is very, very simple, and I really appreciate how simple and directed the rule book is. But there was just a slight oversight on the differences between positive and negative numbers. And what I would have liked to see in there is, on your score sheet, having a picture of the score sheet and like a labeled diagram of, this is a positive spot and this is a negative spot. And, because in the rule book, it doesn't explicitly state a positive versus negative spot, but you eventually, with the rules, and you have to kind of read between the lines a little bit, it then makes it clear and also if you watch the video makes it clear. The Petersen Games has a basically a quick how-to video on playing the game, and that clarified a lot for us. So yeah, the rule book is great, except for that one oversight of, it doesn't explicitly state, well, this spot is where you put positive numbers and this spot is where you put negative numbers.
Yeah, that's kind of the biggest critique there. Is we were a bit confused in the beginning about where the positive and negatives went, and once we kind of figured it out, it clarified everything and made the game go way faster. Yeah, that was about it. There's not much more you can really argue for this game. If you're looking in this game as if it's like Gloomhaven, right? Like, I always like to point to Gloomhaven, because Gloomhaven has a lot of moving figure features, or Kingdom Death Monster, right? Like if you're playing Kingdom Death Monster and then you're gonna play Unlocking Insanity, they're two different animals, right? Like I would suggest doing that because I played Kingdom Death Monster, and it's kind of like a cooldown, like when you're in the gym and you're on the treadmill and you're running, and then all of a sudden you hit the cooldown. So that's what Unlocking Insanity to me is. It's a great game. I could play it with my wife, who is not in the gaming community, and she would love this game. Even I would play with her parents, because it would make it fun for them. Um, so that's really what it is. It's a family game. As weird as it say, a Cthulhu game is a family game. I would say it's a family game. It's honestly a great game. It's a family friend game. Hanging out at like a barbecue, or uh like any kind of like little hangout thing. You're like, hey, let's play something. We got 15-20 minutes to kill. Take out Unlocking Insanity. It's one of the best games I've gotten to play, that probably after like your third time playing it, and if you're playing with like a consistent group of people who know it, you guys could probably play the game in like 10 minutes. Like, oh, I got 10 minutes to kill right before a movie. Let's play Unlocking Insanity. That's what I would do. It's worth it.